Here we go. So what are we going to be doing? First, we're going to talk about what is quality. What does it mean? What is it? I know you all know what it is, but how is it viewed throughout the organization? What are we up against? And then I'm going to go into talking about the communication piece. I'll introduce you to the concept of plain language. What is it? What does it look like? Why should we use it? After that, I'll talk about talking about quality. How do we talk about our stuff to other people who don't really know or maybe don't even want to know too much about quality? We'll talk about how to talk to upper management, and then we'll talk about how to talk to the others, how to talk to the non-quality people that we have to deal with on a daily basis. This will be the bulk of the presentation, and I hope it will give you some insight and tools into the best way to be heard by all of the various people who need to hear our message. And finally, I'll talk very quickly about creating a culture of quality more generally, because that's ultimately what we're trying to do. And then we'll have some questions and answers. Hopefully I'll be able to answer them. We'll do that at the end, and hopefully there'll be time. All right, so let's get started here. What is quality? I actually don't want or need to spend too much time talking about the basics here. It's like preaching to the choir. You all know what quality is. You live it, breathe it, probably dream about it. But the big problem is that sometimes it feels like we're the only one who gets it, who knows what this is, who truly understands it. But we have to talk about this a little bit, because in order to shift things, we need to know where we're starting from and what our audience, like the people that we speak with, what are they thinking? What do they think? All communication comes down to understanding the audience. So we have to know where they stand, what they know, what they think, how they feel. And you want everyone in your company to embrace quality in the same way you do. You want them to be dreaming about it, ideally. And right now, that's probably not happening. But where are they now? How do they currently think? We have to think about that. So let me just put up a definition of quality. This isn't my definition. This is just a nice little definition. I'll read it out loud. All activities and responsibilities required to make sure that the product that reaches the customer is safe, effective, and acceptable to the customer. So most of the time, people in our company, especially those at the top, are focused on the last bit. Safe, effective, happy customer, the green. That's mainly what they're thinking about when they're thinking about quality. So you've got to start helping them see that the part of the definition that they really should be thinking about is the first part, the all activities and responsibilities part, the yellow part. And that's pretty wide, isn't it? This definition doesn't even mention your organization or company, because quality isn't limited to just what happens at your company. It starts before with supplier, vendor evaluations. It ends afterwards with post-delivery activities and recalls and things like that. And all responsibilities. What is this? Where do these responsibilities come from? Well, this is the compliance part, right? They come from various places depending on what your QMS looks like. It could be ISO, could be it's regulations for sure, GMP, possibly company guidelines as well, right? So we're bound by the law, by the regulations of whatever place we're making and selling our products. But we're talking generally about any obligation or requirement or responsibility that you're obliged to follow based on the type of product you're making or distributing and the market that you're distributing in. Safe, effective, and acceptable to the customer. Customer requirements are huge. If we don't have customers, we don't have a business and you don't have a job. But safety and effectiveness can't really be separated from acceptable to the customer, can they? If you don't have a safe and effective product, you probably are not going to have a lot of customers. So safe, effective draws us into design and development, risk, manufacturing. So you name it, quality management literally covers everything about your business, everything. And you've got to help shift people's thinking so that they begin to understand that the way to get to this safe, effective product and happy customer, the green, is actually through the effective management of the quality in all of the processes, all the activities and all the people and jobs, the yellow. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get everyone at your organization to understand the big picture, the connection between what they're doing on a daily basis and the larger goals. So your job is to gently steer everybody's thinking so that they realize that excellent quality management leads to those things. It leads to all of those things that they're trying to do here as a company. All right, that's great. How do we do this, right? That's the big question. Conversations. What do we say? How do we say it? Literally, what words do we need to use? And how do we make sure that what we say is received the way we want it to be received? Before we go further, I just want to remind you of something. As a quality professional, you obviously need to know the ins and outs of quality. You're the expert on all things quality. That's your job. But as you're aware, in order to make sure the quality management system runs the way you need it to run, you also need a pile of other skills. So what do you need to know? You need to know all the quality stuff, everything to do with regulations, ISO, GMP, all that fun stuff. But you also need to know everything there is to know about the organization. Vision, mission, statements, the business objectives, all of this. You have to be the expert on all of this too, and you'll see later why. And you need to know how to communicate. This should probably be the first one because it's so important. It's the first one in my world anyway. You've got to be able to communicate externally, regulatory agencies, notified bodies, suppliers, other stakeholders. You've got to be able to talk to every single person in the organization, since every single role and every single person is involved in some way in quality management. And you need to be able to talk to upper management and the business unit, because having those guys on side, really, like without them on side, effective quality management is really an uphill battle, a big challenge. And finally, you need to know how to lead, because you have to be instrumental in leading with a quality mindset so that your whole organization is one that has this culture of quality. So it's a big job, and it's one of the few jobs that requires such a diverse skill set. So let's talk about the talking bit. Let's first think about the difference between language and communication. To put it simply, language is about the words, and communication is about the message. So language is a tool for communication. Language helps you choose the best words for every situation. But communication goes well beyond this. It focuses on the interchange, the back and forth, the context of this information, the relationship. It includes empathy, listening, body language, emotional intelligence, all of this fun stuff, what we call soft skills. So there's a big component of psychology and communication. So we're talking about communication, not just the words, we're talking about the message. So we don't just have to say the right words, which is language, but we have to say the right words in the right way in every situation, which is communication. So let's talk about language first, though, the words. You may or may not have heard about plain language before. So I'm going to give you a quick primer or a quick lesson. Some people are funny about the term plain language, like plain Jane. Somehow plain is a bad thing, or they think we're talking about simplifying things and dumbing them down. But that's not it at all. What is plain language? It's basically talking or writing in a way that is meant to be understood. That's it. It's just as simple as that. So it's about making it ordinary and familiar. It's neither above or below the listener's intelligence or knowledge base. And it's actually mandatory, the law, in certain areas of life and death, like the World Health Organization and certain government websites have to be written in plain language. Wherever information must be clear, there's generally a law that says you got to do it in plain language. That's how critical it is to clarity. So really, it's just about how to be clear. So that's all it is. The best way to be understood, the best way to get your message heard, understood, and acted upon. And that's what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to get the people you work with to hear you and buy into this mindset of quality. And there's all kinds of evidence that this is the way to go. How even smart, well-educated people respond better and like you more if you use plain language. And the brain can actually process plain language more easily and hence